Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome to the channel. It's nice to see you here. In this episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this bag. So it's a big old bag and it's made out of a single pair of jeans. So this is the pair of jeans. That's all that's left of them. So it's a recycle, upcycle, thrifted bag. It is fully lined, so the lining is actually made from a bed sheet that I got from a charity shop. I got these jeans from a charity shop as well, and all the edges are bound with bias binding, so it looks beautiful inside as well. So you've got the pocket there as well, like a welt pocket. So there's lots going on with this bag. I'll just put it on so that you can see how large it is, because it is quite a large one. Okay, so that's the size of it. It's all quilted as well. It measures about just over 50 centimetres long, and then 28ish centimetres high and 28ish centimetres wide. So let's get going and I will show you how I made it, and hopefully you'll be able to make one of your own. Right, to make this project I have got a pair of jeans which were from the charity shop. I think I paid like £5 for them. This is actually a fitted sheet which I think was £4 from the charity shop. I've used this in several projects. This is going to be the lining, and then I've got a zip here which is 56 centimetres, which is 22 inches. It's a chunky nylon zip, and then I've got some cotton webbing which is an inch wide or 2.5 centimetres, and I've got 3 meters of that. Okay, so you're also going to need a bias binding as well, about 6 meters, should be plenty, and that is what you're going to use for the trim and to use on the insides of the seams, just to keep it looking really nice from the inside as well. Right, so first of all I need to get the panel ready that's going to form the body of the bag. So what I've done is laid the zip out here, and I'm going to cut each leg down there, so exactly the same length as the zip. Okay, I've cut that, and now what I'm going to do is cut inside here. The reason that I'm cutting on the inside leg rather than the outside leg is that the inside leg actually sort of goes wider, so it's not a completely flat seam, whereas the outside leg seam is a completely flat seam. So cut that and then open it out, and I'll do exactly the same with the other leg, so that I'm going to have both of the panels together. I think what I need to do actually is I need to iron this because it's quite crinkly, so I just want to see what I'm working with. That's better. Now that I've got the two pieces ironed, I can see what I'm working with, and I now just want to make this totally square. Now what I've ended up with now is a piece of fabric that is 48 by 58, and it still fits the length of the zipper, so I'm very happy with that, and it's all square and equal now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out exactly the same size in the lining. Okay, so I've decided that I'm going to use two different types of sort of an interfacing interlining and a soft wadding. This is a branded product, and it's this Visseline H640. So it's fusible on one side, so you can iron it on. And then what I'm also going to use is just this interfacing. I tend to always use a heavyweight, so you can get different weights of the fusing, and it's normally dependent on the fabric that you're using. But when I'm making bags, I tend to always go for the heavier weight one. And I'm going to first of all put on the interfacing, so iron that on, and then I'm going to iron on this soft wadding as well, so it will give it a little bit of extra stability but not too much weight. A little tip when you're working with denim, so you've got a seam here which was on the outside leg, so it looks really nice like that, and what will have naturally happened in the process of making the jeans is that this seam will have been pushed and ironed one way. So what you've got is you've then got 3 thicknesses of denim there, which makes this sort of this bulge, and obviously that's absolutely fine, but what I'm going to do is open it out, so open the seam out and just press it flat. I'll use my iron as well. For the moment I'm just using my fingers, but press it flat so that if you go over this seam on the outside, so for example I'm going to be doing some quilting stitching on the outside, What that means is then you're only ever going through 2 layers of fabric as opposed to 3. Okay, so apply the interlining to the denim on the wrong side of the denim. And the next layer is this soft wadding. Right, so now the wadding is attached, and what I'm going to do now is mark this out so that I can quilt it. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm literally going to take this ruler. I don't have one of the plastic rulers, so I'm just going to use what I've got. So I'm going to use this chalk and just mark from one side over to the other. And then I'm just going to use this ruler as a spacing. So I'm going to move it down by about 1/2 centimetre and then do another line. And I'm going to do that all the way across. Now I want to mark this so that this will go at right angles. So because this is not a square, I can't just simply go from one corner to the other. I need to mark this at right angles. Right, so the whole of that side is now marked with chalk, and what I've also done is pinned the edges so that the lining is also included in this, because the lining's also going to be quilted. So start at any point. Sometimes it's better to give yourself one big long one, so sort of start on one of these middle ones first. And my tip would be sew one way, then go down this edge, and then sew the other, down the edge, back up the other way, because that way the fabric will stay flat. If you sew all of the lines all in one go, you'll find that the fabric is more sort of prone to pulling in one direction. So go up and down like that. Right, so both of the sides are quilted now, and they've got the lining on the outside, so it gives it a really, really nice effect. Now what I want to do is I'm going to add a welt, a front zip welt pocket onto here, and the size that I'm going to add is 29, so 29 centimetres across by 17 centimetres down. So I want to cut it out of the same pair of jeans. Right, I've cut that out, and you can see it's got the shape of the pocket on there. When I've been doing this, what I've actually seen is it's got this really nice lining in the pocket, so I want to use that. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to cut out this fabric and see that if I can use this to line this pocket, because I just think that would be really nice. It goes really nicely. I've got my zip and it's going to sit about there. This is the lining. So I've got the lining here, which has got interfacing on it, and it's on the wrong side. So what I need to do now is draw myself a line that measures 22 centimetres exactly. I'm going to round it up to 23 actually, and that's the length of it, and I want the depth of it to be 1.5 centimetres. And then what I've done is I marked a point 1.5 centimetres in from that end, and also 1.5 centimetres in from that end, and just joined those up to make a triangle, and those are going to be sort of pushed inside, so you'll see next. But the next step is, so take your pocket piece, place the lining on top, so they should be the same size, and then you can pin around the edges to keep it in place. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to sew all the way around that edge, so you can use that line that's there to guide you, and sew all around that first of all. Right, so you can see that that outside edge is sewn now, and then what I've done is I've just gone over this in pen so it's a bit easier to see. I've actually done a line down the middle to join up those two ends, and what you want to do now is on all of these lines need to be cut sort of about 2-3 millimeters away. You don't want to cut into that stitching, so you must be careful not to cut that stitching, but as near to that point as you can without actually cutting the stitching. Okay, so a little bit of magic happens now, and this is going to be turned inside. So use that hole that you've just created, be careful with it, but turn that side in. Right, so that's looking good, front and back, the lining, but what it needs is it needs a good iron now, just to really sort of set it in place. Right, now that is the perfect shape to add the zip in. So the zip is going to sit beautifully in there. Okay, so all you need to do now is just pin it in place and then take it to the sewing machine and just stitch all the way around the edge. So, the zip's in place now, and what I'm going to do now is turn under these edges by about 1 centimetre, and then this is just going to be sewn onto the front of the bag. Right, so I've pinned it all the way around, and I'm just going to sew all the way around there so that when I attach it, it's all sort of already done, and it will be easier just to sew it on with another row of stitches. I've positioned the pocket centrally, and it's 13 centimetres down from the top hem. So I'm just going to top stitch it now all the way around so that it's attached. Right, so the pocket's attached now, and what I've got here on the top is some bias binding, and I've opened it out, and on the wrong side I'm going to sew along that folded edge there to attach it, and then I'm going to bring, once that's sewn, I'm going to bring it over, fold it over there, and then sew a line of stitching on there. Right, so the next thing is to attach the webbing to both the front and the back panel. So the webbing is an inch deep, which is 2.5 centimetres, and I bought 3 meters worth. What I did first of all is I just cut 2 little lengths off here, which are about 8 centimetres, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those as little tags on the zip, because I just think that will be a really nice addition. So I've cut those off, then I've cut this webbing in half so that I know that each of the handles is going to be exactly the same size. Place them on here, pin them in place. They're actually 11 centimetres in, and then I'm going to stop my sewing 11 centimetres down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew all the way up there, across, and then back down again to attach that piece, and the same with that piece, and then I'll also do the same with the back piece as well. Now that both of the pieces of webbing have been attached, we're going to sew the 2 pieces together at the bottom seam. So sew them together, and then also add some bias binding on there just so that it neatens that edge off. To attach the zip, and what I'm going to do is I've opened it up and I'm going to attach one side at a time. So I'll attach that first, and then once that one's done, I'm then going to pin this on the other side and sew that. Right, so now I need to cut out the 2 round ends. So I've got a circle here which I've cut out, which is 30 centimetres in diameter, and that's going to fit exactly into the bag at the both ends. So I need 2 of these. Right, so these are both of the ends. There's 4 layers, so you've got the outer denim, then in there, first layer, you've got the interfacing, then you've got the wadded interfacing, and then the actual lining. They're all going to be sewn at the same time. What I've done is I've the same as I did for the front and the back. So chalked on the lines so that I can then go and do the quilting. Right, so they've both been quilted, and what I've done is I've marked into 4 equal sections, top and bottom and 2 sides, so that it can be inserted more easily into the 2 ends of the bag. Right, so the bag's turned inside out, and I'm going to take one end at a time. So first of all, I've got this little tag that I made out of the cotton binding, so I'm going to just attach that to the top edge. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is line up the pins with the 4 sides and sew all the way around there. So I've actually sewn this on now, but I'm just now doing the final row of stitching to attach the bias binding. The bag's finished now, but if you can see, it's all the seams are taped up, and it just looks really nice inside. So I've left this zip open when I've sewn it, which is really important. So now I'm going to turn it inside out. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that you are making your own out of a pair of jeans that you've got and some lining, and yours is going to look really different to mine, and I'm sure it will look beautiful. So let me know in the comments below how yours has gone. Have you enjoyed making it? Was it difficult? Was it easy? Did you enjoy it? I'd love to know. What I would say is next pick your next project. I've got loads and loads of projects, so have a look at the projects, decide which one you're going to do next, and I will see you in that video. So thanks for spending time with me, and I'll see you then. Bye.